Yeah, it's been a crazy week, man. So we've just gone through the discovery that
Yeah,
Uyinene,
yeah.
um, the girl who was missing from UCT for a couple of for a week, that she was fine. They finally figured out what exactly happened, and what happened was she went to the post office on a sunny day
Yeah.
in the afternoon, and then she goes there, and she was told that I think there wasn't electricity. There was no electricity. This was probably at like 12.
Yeah.
No electricity, and then she was told to come back at 2.
Yeah.
Now keep in mind, I think post offices actually close at 1. I might be mistaken, but I think they close at 1 on the weekend.
Yeah.
So she was told to come back at 2, and then she comes back, and then that's when the tragedy happens. The guy who had told her to come back then hit her with a scale. She tried to fight back, but he overpowered her ultimately, and then I think he raped her, and yeah, her body was found in Kailicha or something. So very sad story, and it has brought up the whole discussion of what do we do?
Yeah.
Like, what are the options we have
Yeah.
to mitigate such issues? Any ideas?
So, I mean, a conversation I was having with a friend actually the week before that I briefly told you about offline. It's just the value of allies, where I find myself torn that on one hand, it's like, okay, cool, allies within sexism, within these kind of issues around femicide are useful. So having male allies, and the same could be said for race, so having white allies around racial justice issues. But I worry about what I was telling you earlier. So if we're to use a scenario that's very simplistic compared to this thing that happened. So if we're to think about, like, in a boardroom, I experience something that I view to be sexist, and I tell this guy, hey, Tabo, that was sexist, it's not okay. And he kind of shrugs it off and is like, oh, whatever, she's just being a girl, and all the other guys say the same thing. But when Glenn comes and says, hey, Tabo, I actually think that's not cool, dude, and that was sexist, he reflects and says, hey, Glenn, I think I got what you mean about that being sexist, and he apologizes to me. But my concern there is it still renders my voice and my experiences as not good enough. Not good enough to cause Tabo to reflect on his actions unless a male says the same thing. Which for me is like, it points to a bigger issue we have in our society.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I do see the value of male allies. And I think what this specific tragedy made me think about is just like questions around, in male circles, how often do you guys hold each other accountable? Versus like laugh off problematic chats from your homies. Like, is it easy to kind of tell the line between tongue in cheek and I'm not even sure if boys should just be boys at this rate.
Yeah.
But like tongue in cheek comments versus, hey dude, that's actually not okay. So I don't know. I wanted to pick your brain a bit.
So on a personal basis, my friends, a lot of my
I
friends.
do.
We have mutual friends, and they're pretty cool guys. They're not about that life. But I have spoken to people who, it wasn't even like a thing of mistreating women. It was just like general things of not giving back. Like I was talking to this guy. He was saying, he was just talking about like hypothetical situations, and he said, if you received, let's say, 20K in your account right now, just randomly, then a person messages you like, yo, I made a mistake, please, whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, would you give it back? So I said, yeah, of course. Like, you don't know what that person went through to get that money. What you're gonna make them go through. Maybe it's for fees. Maybe it's for someone in hospital. Maybe it's for something crazy, right? Or even if it's not, it's still not your money. So these guys were like, nah, I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna spend it. Whatnot. So that and those two agreed. They were friends. So it made me realize, like, usually, like in groups of friends, people who are like-minded will like not stick together. Will attract each other to become friends, right? So in that trashiness, they'll find trashiness as the common ground. Whereas for me, I was like, that's kind of messed up, right? And me, I know my friends will definitely give it back. So that's a problem, right? So that means people like me aren't necessarily mixing with people like them, but like you said, in a workspace, then that's when people end up mixing. And then if you go ahead, like this happened in actually, funny enough, this happened in my office recently.